And I have great trust in my fellow Iowans to choose the person that they think will best represent them. And consequently, we trundled along, and we had some knee in the curves of where endorsers came along, and we had a fabulous group of volunteers. They rose from the cornfields of Iowa to support us in every corner of the state. And consequently, it was just a matter of time before we punched through our message, and here we are.
Emotionally, what is this? I know you're an admiral, but what does this mean for you?
Well, so I wasn't riven by anxieties today, like sometimes that happens with people. Having been in situations where a lot is at risk and my decisions are at risk, today was an election day where the die is cast. It's up to Iowans. So I took the day such that I washed my car, fixed the washer and dryer, did those things, swept off the sidewalk in front of the house. I did those things on a day, and I'm taking this in stride. But I certainly understand what's before us. And I believe this will be a difficult 6 months. But here again, I expect in November that I will, as I said just a bit ago, go to Washington, D.C. with 3 Democrat congresswomen, and we'll be reporting back to a Democrat governor.
What's kind of your plan going forward?
Well, we'll maintain the type of rhythm we've had, and that is seeing much of the state. I believe we will get some national press that'll rise up in the next 2 weeks and then tail off, of course. We will not ever stop working, and I'll keep my staff in key. We will grow a few elements, and we'll proceed apace.
There's going to be some national headwinds working against you. The president has low approval ratings here in Iowa. How do you break through? How do you convince Iowans, I guess, how do you convince Iowa general election voters to send a Democrat to Congress?
Well, if you look at I think past performance is an exhibit for future achievements. And as you look at Chuck Grassley's past performance, certainly in the last 20 years, there is a gulf of high order achievements. Certainly has given us the most partisan Supreme Court in all of our lives. He has voted down a series of measures that would have saved people's lives from a irresponsible ownership of firearms perspective. He has not been a responsible individual in supporting antitrust legislation. Is that me? Sorry.
I think you're going to be a popular person for a few hours.
Sorry. I mean, there's a litany of issues that he is definitely responsible for. And I believe we're going to hold him accord. Time for change. Iowans want something different. Too much of that, something new. I represent a person who's a humanitarian, a person who's gifted in describing what kind of infrastructure the state can do. I'm a farmer at root. I'm a grandson of homesteaders. I think that relates to Iowans. And being in the military, that was an occupation that sets well for this as well.
When you take a look at some of the issues that you're hearing from voters, I guess, is there anything that to you sticks out of why voters chose you over your 2 opponents, of issues that you're hyper-focused on that you think you can deliver on?
Well, I believe this is an accepted, that this is a serious time, and people are looking for a serious candidate, someone who can step in the job day one. Having been Barack Obama's Chief of Legislative Affairs for the Department of Navy and Marine Corps, previously working way back in the 90s on a senatorial staff, I can do those things. Also, having a record of having a security clearance going all the way back, living a life of Iowa values, I think people recognize that. And they don't want the divisiveness, the name calling, the nonsense associated with many of our elected leaders today. They want somebody just to do the job. And I assume that responsibility to do that. And I think people believe that.